The best month I ever had as a trader is the month I stopped trusting myself. Not because I got worse, because I finally had something to lose. That sentence took me years to admit because it runs backwards from everything you are taught. You are told losing is what breaks traders. Nobody warns you that winning can break you just as fast from a completely different direction. I remember the exact trade, a setup I had taken 100 times before, clean, obvious, the kind I would not have thought twice about a month earlier. I looked at it and felt something I did not expect. Not excitement, dread. If this loses, it takes a piece of the best month I have ever had. I let it go. It ran exactly the way I expected it to, without me in it. That is the part nobody explains about a genuinely good stretch. Once your profit and loss becomes a record instead of a result, the number stops being money and starts being an identity. And the market does not know or care that you have decided this is the month you finally became good at this. I told myself that was one trade. It was not one trade. Over the following weeks, I kept finding reasons to sit out the setups that mattered most, while still taking the smaller, safer ones that could not really hurt the number. I was not trading the market anymore. I was managing a scoreboard, and protecting a scoreboard is not the same skill as trading. I want to tell you what that actually looked like, because saying I sat out makes it sound like a decision. It was a Tuesday, same setup. I had my finger on the mouse and I did the math instead. If I take this and it works, the month goes up about 11%. If I take it and it does not, I give back 4 days. That math has nothing to do with the trade in front of me. I did it anyway. I did it every time after that. I got good at reasons. The spread looked wide. It was too close to lunch. I wanted one more candle of confirmation, and then one more after that. Every single reason was a real trading concept. That is what made them so easy to believe. You do not talk yourself out of a good trade with nonsense. You talk yourself out of it with vocabulary. There was one I let go on a Thursday. I remember moving the mouse toward the buy button and then closing the platform instead, like the chart could not run without me watching it. It ran. I opened it again after the close, and price had gone exactly where I would have taken profit, almost to the tick. I did not feel regret. I felt relief that nobody else could see it. I wish I could tell you that was the worst part. I still traded. That is what hides it from you. I took the small ones. The setups where being wrong cost almost nothing, and I closed them early, and most of them worked, and every one of them made the problem worse. A string of tiny wins feels like discipline. It felt like discipline to me. It was just a way of touching the market without risking the number. I should tell you how the month ended, because I think you are expecting me to say I blew it up. I did not. The month closed green. I finished up, and I felt nothing at all, and that confused me more than a red month would have. I had protected the number successfully. I had also traded worse for 3 straight weeks to do it. I want to go back to those weeks, though, because that is where the damage actually is. Every morning went the same way. Open the platform, look right at the number before I looked at a single price. Refresh it. Close the platform again. Some mornings I did that before the session had even started, when there was nothing on it to change. There is a version of that habit that is professional, that is just knowing where you stand. This was not that version. I was checking on it the way you check on something you are scared is going to leave. Somebody asked me how the month was going. I said good. That was true, and it was the least honest thing I said all month. The trades I skipped are not on any statement. There is no line item for them. But I can still name 3 of them, and I cannot name a single one of the small ones I took. Here's the part that actually surprised me. I always assumed fear showed up after a loss. It did not that month. It showed up after enough wins that I finally had something worth protecting. The more proof I had that I could do this, the less willing I became to risk finding out I might be wrong again. I was not protecting my money anymore. I was protecting a story about myself. I had turned my own good month into a hostage. The fix was not confidence. I already had confidence. That was the problem. The fix was separating the trade in front of me from every trade that came before it. A setup does not know what your month looks like. It does not care what you have already proven. Every single trade only exists in the moment it is actually in front of you. And the second I started grading each one on its own, the number I was so afraid of finally stopped controlling my hands. I thought becoming profitable would make trading easier. It did not. It just handed me something new to be afraid of. And this time, it was my own success. The worst losses in trading are not always red numbers. Sometimes they are the green trades you were too afraid to take. I made a whole video about the 70+ funded accounts I blew or got stuck on before any of this actually clicked. If any of this sounds familiar, that is the place to start. I will put it right here. Welcome to Trader Confessions.